All right, I'm Celeste.
And we're the founders of the Somatica Institute of Sex and Relationship Coaching. And we're super excited to have you here today. And we'll talk about the Somatica Institute is offering trainings for people who want to become sex and relationship coaches, and also for individuals who want to go on their personal growth journey. So there's a way that there's no matter what, you're going to grow in Somatica. So whether you do it for personal growth or for professional development, you will experience tremendous change in your relationship and around your sexuality and the experience of yourself.
Yeah, for individuals and couples. And we'll talk more about what it's like to be in the training as a couple too a little bit later on. But first, we want to talk to you about what happens in an experiential Somatica sex coaching session and how you bring yourself as a coach to that session.
Yes. And again, feel free to ask questions here and we will be happy to answer your questions. And stay with us till the end because we're going to answer all your questions about the training, about what it means to take it, what does it mean to be certified. And we're also going to offer you a special discount that's going to be applicable just for today.
So, first of all, I want to talk about the fact that Somatica is experiential. And we throw that word experiential around a lot, but I think a lot of people automatically assume, oh, that means you're jumping in and like touching right away. And everybody confuses experiential with touch. But what we really do, what experiential means is that we help people learn how to have real intimacy out in the world by practicing intimacy, both emotional and erotic intimacy within the boundaries of the method in real time. And we feel like being able to practice intimacy in real time is the most efficient way to learn how to have real intimacy out in the world. In fact, it's really hard for us to imagine that there's any other way to learn how to have intimacy, because if you're just talking about it, philosophizing, discussing, intellectualizing, you're not feeling what it feels like to be in intimacy and to have the courage and bravery to engage at deeper and deeper levels.
So you are probably wondering, how do you do it online? And online is wonderful because, as Celeste said, it's not only about touching, it's really is about helping people deepen intimacy and connection. And you can do it online. And now that COVID is all over, spending time and learning how to do intimacy, whether you're doing it online or in person, is super important because many people cannot reach other people in person, and doing it online is the only way for them to do it. So we definitely, if you want to learn about dating or you want to learn about like how to connect with people with the pandemic around, but also after, you can learn all those tools from your chair, from your bedroom, from everywhere that you are online. So, yeah, how do we do it experientially online? And we start by helping people really get into their body. We kind of, how do you hold a space, especially when it is online? How do you create the space that feels so comfortable and inviting and connecting, and something that people feel like they're sitting with you in the same room while they're doing that? And that's definitely possible by really learning how to bring presence and how to bring people into their body, and by the coach being in their bodies as they're doing that.
The one thing I want to share is just like what it feels like as a coach when someone either walks into your office or you see somebody on screen the first time, because I feel like it's hard to describe. And so I just want to say that the first thing that I do is I just come with an open heart. I'm trying to see how I can have the deepest intimacy with this person in front of me. So they sit down or they're on the screen and I feel my body, I breathe into my body and I see what it feels like to be in connection with them. Just from the very beginning, I'm coming with like a warmth and an openness and a curiosity. And my whole intention is I'm looking at this person and I'm thinking, they have things that they really want for themselves in their lives and they want to be their full self. And they want to experience deep emotional intimacy and pleasure and joy. And they know they have some things that are blocking them from that. And I'm thinking, how can I be on this person's team to help them get all of those things that they want and start to move past some of those blocks? So immediately I'm feeling like, What is it they're longing for? What are their goals? And then we're sorting it out. Okay. Inside my head, I'm like, okay, they're telling me their goals. And I'm thinking, because I have this method behind me, I'm thinking, these are all of the things that I'm going to need to do to help them get to their goal. Because sometimes they have no idea that it's okay to have a need, or they don't feel like they can set a boundary because it's not nice, or whatever it is, or they don't even have any idea what turns them on or how to begin to ask for it. So, whatever it is, I have a whole catalog of ways to help them experientially practice those things. And I'm thinking, okay, where is the edge? Like, where's the place where they just are ready to stretch a little bit? And how do I help them lower shame, feel the yes inside of their body? Because I'm not asking people to push past resistance or something like that. There may be some stuff that is holding them back, that they need to cry and they need to feel their fear, or whatever it is that's stopping them. And we need to move through that very slowly and in a loving, attuned, engaged way to help them find something that they're like, okay, think I'm ready to practice this. And I know why I want to practice it. And I'm scared, but I'm going to give it a try. And when there's that like readiness and the self-awareness of what it is that they're going to get out of this experiment, then we practice. Whether it's just like sharing a feeling in present moment, or where it's reclaiming the body and connecting in a physical way with touch and sensation, that's the build up to that process. And it's just it's so good. It's such a good feeling as a practitioner too, because I feel like I'm like with this person on a very deep level. I adore my clients and I love seeing them transform. And I'm thinking I'm a teammate, right?
My family is always telling me like how jealous they are, and my friends too, because like when I go to work, I'm just like, it's so fulfilling and it's so amazing. And I get to connect with my clients in such a deep level that it's amazing. When I leave a session, well, I'm in a session, of course, I cry with them and I laugh with them. And it feels like being in real intimacy with the people that I get to see weekly or every other week, or sometimes just whenever they need to. But it's those people that are really like, there are like, we create a relationship between us. And then when I finish a session like this, there's like such an amazing feeling of fulfilling and satisfaction as a coach. And I know clients always email me and talk to me in sessions, as well as sometimes after, like how impactful those sessions are for them and how much they're taking home into their lives. And if a couple comes in, for example, you can see the change happening in front of you, or when individual come in, you can see the change. They're changing in front of you as they're engaging with you. So it's not like you're just sending them home to do things. They're actually experiencing it with you, whether it's more vulnerability, whether it's sharing desires, whether if it's a couple trying touch with each other. I'm just talking about online options, because when people are in person, as the coach, we can actually also going to be teaching you tools how to do this practice in person when all the vaccination is going to be available for everyone, and the world's going to be a safe place to connect with people. You're going to be so ready to connect with them. So it's a fully satisfying and amazing job and career to have, because imagine every day waking up to so much sexiness and aliveness and intimacy.
So there's some good questions already that I want to get to. If a client has toxic behavior patterns that drive away partners, how can you show they cannot extend the expectations of a therapeutic experience to their partners? Does experiential learning make this dynamic more perilous? First of all, I want to say it's easy to label someone as having toxic behaviors. What is more what is more maybe like inspiring or challenging is to go underneath and see the hurt child underneath the pain that's causing the behavior, the protective mechanism that pushes away partners or scares people or makes them not feel understood or connected with. So, whatever it is, we help dig up what it is that's leading to the behavior that's going for protection instead of connection. And we do tell our clients, like, no one is going to be the perfect partner. Like, even if we're in a very much a parenting, loving, like we're going to accept them exactly who they are relationship with their clients, that no partner is going to give them everything that they need. And I always tell my clients, you might be idealizing me. Oh, if only you found a woman like me, then everything would be great. And then I'm like, and then try being in a relationship with me out in the world. It's a whole other set of challenges. We really help people be very realistic around relationships and take away a lot of the fairy tale beliefs that stop people, but also do a lot of healing, help people connect with their inner child and love themselves and accept themselves and see their challenging behaviors with some curiosity and de-shamify them, and then see how can they transform those behaviors so that they can have more connection and more love in their life, and to see the ways that they're pushing people away, because people don't want to do that, but they have automatic fearful responses. So that's how we work with that.
Yeah, there's another wonderful question here, which is what do you do when you have no chemistry with a client? So the first question we ask ourselves is why I don't have chemistry with my client. Is there, and it doesn't mean that everyone's going to have chemistry with everyone. That's not necessarily true. And we help you really learn what, like who you are personally and who you are erotically, and see if there will be more compatible people out there and there will be less compatible people out there. But when we ask ourselves, like, why am I not attracted to this person? Why I don't have chemistry with them? It is usually because they have some things that they need to learn in order to be more attractive, in order to be able to show up. That's what they're coming to our offices to. So we will help them see how they come through and what are the impact that they leave on us with our imperfection. We're not claiming to be perfect ever. It's super shaming if we claim that we are perfect. And then like really helping them expand on those skills and expand on those ability to bring more of their attractiveness out there.
Yeah, so this is a great question. Do you have certain restrictions or red zones that you make the client aware of before the coaching session? We talk a lot about boundaries and how to communicate your boundaries in the training, but the shorthand version of that is that with most clients, we do tell them our boundaries up front. For people who are dating and in the initiative position, we don't tell our boundaries right away because we want them to have a more realistic experience of trying to escalate and then hitting a boundary. And we have particular exercises that create structure and safety around that. And so there's lots of communication in terms of finding those edges. If somebody's out dating in the world, they will not know the person's boundaries who they're dating, but they will be expected to escalate. And so we want to help them do that in a way that's completely consensual, where there's enthusiastic consent. So in those cases, we wouldn't tell our boundaries right away. But with everyone else, we talk about the boundaries of the method.
Another good question, Sami. It's like, how do you know when you fulfilled all your goals? So there's a little, it's again like Somatica, we're not telling people who they are and what they need to do. It's a mutual discussion. Everything is very mutual. When we check with people constantly what they feel that they're getting out of the session. We help them see what they're getting if they're not sure what they're getting. We also help them see when they feel done. And usually it's a very organic process when people feel like, okay, I'm done. I need a break now. I need something. We don't have a set of now you do just 12 sessions. It's not real. This is not how life goes. So we are imitating the experience of being in life as much as possible with the reality of life as well.
I love this question, so I'm going to go right to it. What do we do if a couple doesn't have compatible goals or wants? That's just called a couple. Get it? Every couple comes in with some compatibilities and some incompatibilities. And part of what we need to do with every couple is see how can we maximize as much pleasure, attachment, needs meeting, mutual support, love, appreciation, and how do we deal with some of those differences? And some of those differences won't change, right? Some part of being in a relationship does have to do with disappointment and working through disappointments. But we try to maximize fulfillment. We try to find bridges or turn taking or ways that couples can find as much compatibility as possible. And then we deal with the differences that are part of every relationship. The fairy tale says that we find this perfect person and we're happily ever after, but we happen to know that relationships require ongoing understanding of these differences and acceptance of some differences, and that there will be friction in relationship, but you can become very efficient around friction, and then you have way more time in joy and pleasure.
Really work with people with all their defenses and habitual defenses. Dissociation is included, of course, because many people who experience trauma or challenges throughout their lives sometimes dissociate. It's one of the ways of that's a survival mechanism, dissociation. So we really normalize the experience and help people say, how do they, we help we work with clients about our triggers. We teach you as coaches in the training how to recognize and help your clients recognize their triggers and start to pay attention to it. So we help you help if someone is dissociative, for example, how do they track it? How do they start noticing it? And also, how do they alert their partners that they tend to dissociate and help their partners recognize it so they will be able to have a more fulfilling experience in their lives with awareness and being able to slow down the process and connect in spite of it.
So, have you had students who were sexually abused themselves? If you had, were they able to cope in the course and become good sex coaches? Yes. It's such a common experience, actually, that many people have had sexual abuse. And actually, the course is very healing for people who have had sexual abuse because we really do reclaiming the body and working with boundaries and working with consent and embodiment. And there's a lot of work to help people come to a new place of empowerment and celebration about their bodies and their sexualities, even with a history of abuse. So some of our most successful coaches have had a history of abuse. Absolutely.
So in terms of how many clients we have that are couples in partners, so we sometimes see people that are in partners but come by themselves because for their relationship. Sometimes we see people that are single. Sometimes many times we see people that are couples. It's like pretty balanced. It moves between different coaches have different preferences and different equipment. Working with a couple is more advanced tool than working with individuals. And we also offer trainings around that as well. Everyone is different. And we have expertise on our website as well in terms of how much training and expertise people had.
Just to answer your question about your concern that some people will come in just because they want to touch you, especially maybe in a conservative society where there isn't a lot of options to find people who are willing to have touch with them. I think there is some part of Somatica that is working with nourishment. It's not just fulfilling people's needs. So I'm not going to go in and give something to a client that doesn't feel comfortable to me or in my body. But if a client has never had some kind of erotic, I've worked with people who are virgins, who have disabilities, who've never experienced touch before by anyone else except their doctors. I've worked with lots of people who've had different kinds of experiences who have experienced maybe some kinds of touch for the first time with me or some kinds of intimacy for the first time. And that's really revolutionary for them to have that experience because they might have a much better chance of getting it out in the world. And even if they don't get it out in the world for whatever reason, they at least have had that experience for themselves. So I would do that with the self-awareness that that's what they're doing, that they're trying a new experience for themselves with me within my comfort as well as theirs, that helps them feel more alive and nourished and connected to it. Can be very beautiful, fulfilling sessions to just practice with some of that touch, or if somebody's never had the experience of somebody coming towards them with erotic desire and I come towards them with erotic desire, it's like, oh my God, I never knew that I could feel this alive in my body. So it can be a beautiful experience.
The training is definitely helpful for cross-cultural couples. We talk a lot about oppression and privilege. We talk about how our upbringing and our social messages impact who we are, both erotically and emotionally. So it's very much covered in the training. Wow. And we also, again, the training is also a shared experience. We not know it all. So people are also welcome to share their own experience and how they're unique, the way that they were brought up and their social impacts as part of the learning process.
Yeah. So I want to be able to do group sessions, teach seminars, create curriculum. Are these things that will be taught? How will these skills be learned? So because so many of the tools in Somatica are experiential, in some way, all of them are experiential, they really apply well to building workshops. We've had so many students just take like a set of tools that we taught them, put it into a particular order, and that's a workshop. So it actually makes it very easy to do workshops and seminars, to write blogs, to have podcast topics. Somatica is full of philosophy and practical tools that you can take to put into any of those shapes. And we can definitely do in advanced work, we can talk about how specifically to set up workshops, because we really tailor advanced work to the students who are in front of us. And so if that's something that you want to do, we can help people with that as well.
And we have people that came from Somatica that are like very famous bloggers, and podcasters, and we have people who came from Somatica. They took it to different, like they're creating conferences with people, other professionals, and bringing speakers. So you have so many opportunities because you learn such powerful foundations and so many experiential tools that you can really take it and make it your own in that way.
Multiple clients to try to get me to sleep with them. Me too. How do you deal with a client trying to get to beyond the boundaries sexually? So much of what we teach is really about a boundary work and helping people respect your boundaries and to know their own boundaries and respect their own boundaries. There are boundaries in every relationship. They're different, and the relationship with us has a particular set of boundaries. And when somebody wants to go past them, we understand, and we get it. Of course, you want to do more, and it would be so fun if we could, but we can't do more. And so we deal with the disappointment around that. And dealing with disappointment in relationship is a tremendous skill to have, because if you can handle disappointment, you can have sustainable relationship. So we just work with the disappointment when we've gotten to the edge of the boundary and there's no more to be done with that particular person.
There's a great question here. Can you tell us a little bit about where the Somatica method came from, the core ethos? It is more experiential than many other courses I have yet come across. So I'm curious about it. Yes, we'll definitely give you some ideas. Yeah, it is 3 questions. Good job, Grace. Wonderful. Celeste and I come from different backgrounds, and we bring our backgrounds together. I'm coming from clinical background, so that's coming from research, and we both developed this based on what we saw that actually is missing in the field. There's a lot of therapists out there, and there's a lot of therapy training out there, but there's no real places and people can learn how to do relationship. And as we were developing the training together, we were really seeing what people need to have better relationships and better, hotter sex. What do they need to be like fulfilled and happy in their lives in the relational realm? And that's how we developed the method, step after step and step by step. And you are getting the most out of it, because every year we are adding things to the training, and we keep developing the materials.
She says, can you give brief examples of the more experiential activities? And again, I would say all of the activities are experiential, but it could be as simple as like just saying in the moment feelings to each other. Like I would say, when I look at you, I feel a little nervous and excited. And then the other person would say, oh, when you say that you feel nervous and excited, I get a little tingly myself and shy or something. So that would be like a real time I feel experiment. There could be like reclaiming the body, where you help somebody go with each part of their body and reclaim it for themselves if there's been some abuse history or boundary crossing. There might be like a romance exercise where you practice like verbalizing romantic words to each other and like touching each other in a romantic way. So all of those are experiential exercises, and you get to decide how much touch or whatever your levels of comfort or the community that you live in is comfortable with. You can shape your practice based on that, but everything has an experiential aspect to it. And there's also tons of philosophy. And even if you can't do any experiential work, we have licensed therapists take our training as part of ways to get their continuing education units. They can't touch their clients at all or do very much experiential work with them, but they've told us that it deepens their relationships with their clients so much. So even if you're just doing talk coaching with people and you don't want to do as much of the experiential work, this gives a tremendous foundational philosophy of how to do that.
Yeah, and that answers a few questions. I really want to say curriculum in some of other training institutes appear to be theoretical than yours. Yes. And how much we bring theory. Everything I want to say a few things about the Somatica training. First, it is active learning. It is not passive. A lot of the other trainings are just inviting you to watch videos. It is really hard to consume information just by theory and by sitting and observing videos. It is much more learnable when you're practicing and actually buffering with your own belief system and really working through your biases. At the same time, as we are experiential, we also definitely bring theory. Somatica is based on social theory and definitely and psychological theories, and we definitely bring it into the practical realm. So you just knowing theory, telling you I did so many years of learning, just theory doesn't bring you anywhere. You cannot do anything just with theory. But when you bring the theory into the practical, this is when you actually become a very capable coach.
We do so much theory. I actually identify first and foremost as a philosopher. So I think you'll see you just have paradigm shift after paradigm shift as you're doing this work experientially on the theoretical level, on the philosophical level. There's so much juice to the Somatica training.
We also bring very cutting edge approaches to relationship, not just like there's a question about non-monogamy. Yeah, we definitely talk about non-monogamy. We talk about helping people structure the relationship and the sex that they want. Like, how do you become an agent? How do you grow agency for your needs and your desires, knowing yourself and knowing how to communicate it to other people in your life? So you can create the relationship that you want. And monogamy is one thing on the menu. Non-monogamy is one thing on the menu. People have biases all around. We help our coaches learn how to really create a good menu for their clients, as well as we help you as students to do it for yourself.
In terms of regulation in this field at some point in the near future, I don't think so. Coaching isn't regulated in any country in the world, and there hasn't really been a lot of talk of regulation that I know of at all in the United States. I think that gives us a lot of latitude in order to be able to help people the way that is most helpful. There are some certification bodies, international certification bodies, and we are certified by the American College of Sexologists in addition to our own internal certification. So that adds an extra layer of certification to your work if you decide to be certified with us. There are so many good questions. I'm a gay man and would love to focus on doing this work with other gay men. Does the coaching change when you deal with queer people versus heterosexual people? We do talk about everyone across the gender spectrum and the sexuality spectrum. We have specific books that we assign to work with different populations. And we do a lot of work with people who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, straight, the whole gamut, or trans, non-identified, non-labeled, or so the work really applies across the board. And certainly there are specific issues that gay men deal with because when two people have been socialized as male, there are particular socialization that impacts the way they relate to each other around sex and intimacy. Same with when two people have been socialized female. So we really break that down so that you can use this to work with any population.
So there's no license needed after the certification. I'm just answering. Boundaries are actually very clear when we talk about our boundaries in the training. Our boundaries are that we always stay clothed and we practice experientially with our clients. So things change. The boundaries, the final boundaries are solid. And on the way there, people work with whatever they feel comfortable in the moment. For example, if someone's not ready, I'm not even talking about touch. If someone's not ready to hear a sentence that they're not ready to hear, we help them say that, or help them recognize it, or help them see what is the arousal curve and how much they're ready to hear it each time, and then share it with their partners. Because people are very different in that way, how much foreplay they need. Psychological foreplay, not only physiological foreplay. Yes, I hope that.
I understand that intimacy is key to good sexual relationships, and the course focuses on relationships and intimacy building. But how much sex coaching does the course include? And do you include things like porn, sex toys, BDSM? Yes, we talk about BDSM. We talk about all different kinds of hot sexual movies. We talk about porn and the ways that it can be used positively, some of the challenging impacts of porn. We talk about BDSM. We teach some stuff around playing with dominance and submission as one of the hottest sexual movies that we teach. We cover not just two people relating to each other in some long-term relationship, but all of the different potential ways that people can relate erotically and emotionally in intimacy, because there are so many different ways and they can all be fulfilling if done from a place of empowerment.
We have people is coming to the training through the spectrum of age as well. So it's never too late to change your career and do something that's fulfilling. 61 is for many people retirement time, and for many people it is the time to start something they really love. So I think, yay, more to it. You can definitely do it in every age. If you like what we said here today, feel free to share it with other people. You're going to have a video. The video is running on Facebook and live, and so like our page, you're going to get more videos. And also we are on YouTube, so Celeste and Danielle on YouTube, so like that as well, and you'll get updates. So we can't wait to see more of you.
Thank you so much for coming. Bye.